Welcome to this issue of Sector 2815. I'm Paul Cook, and coming up on this issue, we'll talk to the men behind MJ Comix right after this. Welcome back to this issue of Sector 2815. This is a crossover issue. As always, I'm Paul Cook, and if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor before we get started, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're so inclined, and then also make sure you hit the notification button so that you're notified when I upload new content. I am so excited to be able to introduce these next two folks. They are the M and the J from MJ Comix. Welcome to my channel. It's James and Mikey from MJ Comix. Hey, folks.
How you doing, Paul? Thank you very much for having me and Mikey. It's an absolute honor. Thank you very much.
No, the honor is all mine. I was telling you just before we started that I like to call my my videos issues, and so this will be my Pence variant that I'll have. So,
love it.
Absolutely or the UK edition.
Exactly.
My apologies. I was going to say my apologies because we've just literally come off a live. I'm just going to promote your that we're live with you now on my Instagram. Is that right? Just
no, absolutely. And I was funny you should mention that because I was just going to say if you didn't get a chance to just watch these two folks live show, it was just fascinating. Make sure you do the rewind. It was about 85 minutes or whatever of talking about what pretty much the whole comic book community has been talking about the last week, and that is Gregory and the forged signature that he sent to CBCS. So it was just fascinating, and you guys did a really you did a measured approach as to what you did. You just kind of presented the facts. I'll be honest, I haven't watched the video. I'm a little bit more emotional on this topic than probably you folks are because I don't want to give him the view. I know it's only one view, but it's it's my view that I have to give, and if I don't give it, that's me. But and then totally the other thing is too is I was a little bit put off by the fact that he dragged somebody else, a facilitator, into this. If he had done it himself, that would be one thing. But again, good on him. He was able to, get what he wanted, and again, kudos to both of you on the program you just did. It was just fascinating with you and your guests. And so, if you haven't seen it, it's MJ Comix on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. It's just it's must watching right now.
No, thank you very much. We tried our best not to get emotional about it, like you said, or especially because we have a good friend who's a CBCS facilitator, and like I said in the video, I think an experiment like that needs to be an isolated incident. You shouldn't be dragging other people into it. And so I really hope that we didn't come across like we were bashing Gregory, because from my communications with him, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. But it's just the way that it's gone about, unfortunately.
Yeah, and regardless of how I may feel about it, I think, and it was brought up on your show as well, is some of the comments that have been directed towards him just really are not appropriate. So
I mean,
regardless of how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a hard slog anyway. So like to get those types of comments on your first video, it's probably not a great introduction into the YouTube comic community, but I think it's just best that we didn't go in there all gung ho and start attacking him, because it's the last thing you need. So
right. So again, kudos to both of you. It was just enwrapped for the whole time watching you guys talk about it. So so now let's talk about you folks. Your brothers, obviously. Which of you is older?
Who do you think?
Okay. Who do you think? Well, I'm going to guess the guy who raised his hand.
Yeah, me. Mikey's the eldest.
That's why we. I mean, the name MJ Comix is Mikey and James Comix, so it's just shortened. And obviously, it's age before beauty, so we put Mikey's name first.
Really?
Wow. Nah, I think
because if it was age and beauty, it would be M&M Comics. obviously.
There you go. There you go.
Unfortunately, Eminem has took its copyright. So.
It sounds like you're promoting candy instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we basically are like the Eminem ones. I'm the big fat one, and he's the
one. So how did you guys get into collecting comics?
Do you want to go first, Michael? Or do you want me?
Wow, mine's more recent than James's. So mine, I spent most of my childhood Dungeons and Dragons, and I was playing games like Spellfire, Blood Wars. So whilst James was doing comics, I was doing fantasy stuff and collecting like tradable cards and stuff like that. And I recently came into it probably about 3 years ago now, where James had mentioned, comics, and I was like, after years of playing a game that no longer exists, they weren't bringing out anything more because Magic the Gathering killed Spellfire, but I still had a massive collection. I was looking to obviously move that collection on, but then start something else. And James, said, comic books. I've been collecting comic books for a while, but he'd hidden it from me, so he wasn't. I always knew he loved Batman because obviously, and we all love the superheroes. And the interesting thing is obviously I'm mainly a Marvel man, and James is DC. So even though we are brothers, we don't have near enough the same taste in comics, which I find fascinating because obviously, we've been brought up, the same, but yet the way we look at it are just completely different as well. It's just, you couldn't get anything more contrasting. So mine started around about 3 years ago. And, I was just coming onto the scene. So I was really dealing with the modern stuff. And I think the first big book I bought was that Marvel D23, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and James ridiculed me at the time. He said, "There's no way this book is going to go anywhere. You've just wasted all this money buying it for RRP, basically, and it's not going to go anywhere." And he was like, "I'm telling you now, it's not a classic. It's not this." And then, shortly after a few months, it started to climb, didn't it? And then, after a while, I thought, I'm going to send this off and do my first CGC unboxing. So I sent it off. Came back, did the video, put it on the Facebook groups. People, liked it. So that's, the origin, basically, of how we started, basically, pretty much. But James is proper old school with his DEC and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So
James, how did you? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I've been collecting for roughly probably about 20 years or so. I've always been into superheroes growing up. I remember coming out in 1995 of the cinema after watching Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, and I just came out wanting to be Batman. And my mom's boyfriend at the time, he introduced me to comic books. He took me to a shop in Birmingham, like our local comic shop in Birmingham, and it was just from there I became more and more obsessed. I think one of the first books that I picked up was I think it was like one of the Batman Nightfall books.
Okay.
And I started reading them, and then I was picking up like they used to do like like $1 mystery bag with like 5 comics in, and used to pick up like a couple of them every week and stuff like that, and start reading them. And I think one of the first books that I really read properly and everything was probably like there used to be like a Spider-Man like compendium of like, it was like a comic, but he used to like take Spider-Man's history and talk about it over like 5 issues, like for the whole run. And I used to read that like from front to back, all the issues, like every time I went to the toilet, like reading it. And like,
because everybody knows James, he spends a long time on the toilet. So if you need the toilet, make sure you go before James does.
I mean, honestly, like I used to play the Game Boy on the toilet. I used to, And now with phones, now I could be on the toilet for ages because you just, you know, I'm not even doing anything on the toilet. I'm just sat on there going through my phone. Basically, I just can't bother to get up. Yeah. So I've been collecting comics for 20 years. Obviously, Mikey said like I'm big on DC. That's mainly around Batman. Batman is my DC hero that I very much follow. I've got 10. I tend to have like mostly back keys, so just first appearances of the key characters, etc. I did the only run of Batman that I did collect was the New 52.
Okay, Scott Snyder, great run.
Scott Snyder, yeah, I read the whole entirety of that. I loved it, but like at the time, it was like it was going for quite a lot of money when it first came out, like the first prints of like issue 1 and stuff, and issue 4. And then, like now, you could probably pick it up for quite a lot, but quite cheaply. And I'm just like, oh, I wish I'd sold it at the time and just picked it up now again and read it again. But yeah, and then more and more now, I'm getting into Marvel. I've always been a massive Spider-Man fan, so it's always for me that my two heroes are Spider-Man and Batman. But I'm getting more and more now into Marvel Silver Age.
Okay,
like that has become my addiction now. I'm completely done with modern books. I'll buy a modern book to read it. The story's good, but I'm not interested in the spec game in terms of I'm going to buy, 6 copies of this book because I think it's going to be a key first appearance or whatever. I'm not. It's not for me. I don't very much enjoy wasting my money, if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
It's pretty much what I'm about. So yeah, I've been what Mikey said. I've hidden my comic collecting from the world because it wasn't cool when I was a kid, and like if I told people at school that's what I did, I wouldn't have it. I know it sounds sad, but I wouldn't have garnered the respect that I would have got without it. So I kind of like hid it from people. I didn't tell anybody. I just literally went to this comic shop every month or so, or every couple of weeks, and bought some comics and put them under my bed in a box, and just didn't tell anyone about it. And it wasn't until really that I started earning quite decent money that I was like, you know what, I'm going to start going after first appearances of my favorite characters. And then it just becomes a whole big rabbit hole of just you can spend months looking at a book on eBay or trolling through Facebook until you pull the trigger and they're like, yeah, I'm going to get it, got it. That's a decent price. And it becomes an obsession of searching. Like whenever you pick up your phone, honestly, it is an addiction. And like, it
is, yeah.
My wife hates me for it because if I'm after something, I'll constantly search. I'll scour the internet for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's let's see who's in the chat first of all.
It's Kev.
Of course, it's Kev. Kev, saying hello, Kev. And then I think this is in regards to him picturing you on the toilet, James.
I'll give you a preview. It's back to this.
And then I think I think the story that you told and the story like what Kevin is saying here is I think it's common for a lot of people that collect comics. Same thing with me. I collected comics. I never truly fell all the way away from it, but I pretty much hid it from a lot of people as well. And and I like to say that like life happens, and you get into that period where you gotta make friendships and things like that, and so you do whatever you need to do to you don't want to jeopardize that or think you're going to jeopardize it, and and then you get past a certain age and it's like, oh, you know what, comics, I don't really like comics, and so I like to say that that's kind of the period when life happens and a lot of people fall away for that period of time and then they come back. So.
I think it's different now. I think it's kind of cool now to be into geek things, and I mean I wish that it was like that back then, but we learn from these things, don't we? So
yeah, and I think the people that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like the way that some of you haven't backed me up so far by going, yeah, it's cool to do D&D. We haven't. Thanks.
Not for me.
Still geeky.
Well, like you said, I think.
I was going to
go
say,
ahead, James.
I like Mikey showed me Spellfire cards, and that,
Okay.
I just like the half naked women on it. That was all, to be honest. If I was being totally honest.
Yeah. So you're collecting comics. So you guys got together. What made you say, you know what? I know. Did it just kind of morph from the Facebook thing into YouTube, or how did you end up on YouTube and decide that together you wanted to do this channel?
So I introduced Mikey to like it's a Facebook group for buying and selling comics, but it's like the biggest one in the UK. But like for us, it's kind of like, okay, it's a place where you buy and sell comics, but it's also like quite a big community, and you come across like the same names and stuff, and you get talking, and people add each other on friends, etc. And so like Jason Parker had like during lockdown, which for the coronavirus pandemic, had started a YouTube channel up, and we were watching them, and Mikey had done his first CGC submission for that Disney D23 Expo Marvel 1000.
Yeah.
And he was coming back, and he was like, oh, I'm going to record it and put it on the Facebook group. So he recorded, put it on the Facebook group. It got a bit of attention, etc. And then we both had our first joint submission coming back from CGC, and Mikey was like, oh, we'll film it and then we'll put it on the Facebook group. So we filmed it. And then I remembered, like, Facebook, if you upload a video to Facebook, because Mikey's D23 video that he uploaded to Facebook, the quality was terrible, even though he didn't film it in poor quality. So like Facebook compresses, so it reduces the amount of storage space on the server. So I said, you know what, I'll put it on YouTube. So I uploaded it to YouTube, and then we put it out there, and it was getting like a couple of hundred views straight away. And like people were saying like, oh, we love your energy with the unboxing, etc. And then like we had like a discussion, didn't we, Mike? And it was like, shall we make a channel out of this? Like I don't think either of us envisioned that we'd have a YouTube channel. Like it just became a thing. And it's like it's almost like, I don't know, like it's like the thrill of unboxing something. And not because with our channel, we submit to CGC through Scott's Collectibles, which is like Europe's biggest CGC facilitator. So literally package our books, send them to them, put down what the books are. Put down what the books are, and we literally don't even know when they're coming back until we get like an email, like to say FedEx or UPS are delivering the next day.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what the grades are. So we're literally blind unboxing them. So like it is a bit of an addiction, like not knowing what you're going to get. And then like obviously for the reaction, the value of our videos initially were what our reactions were going to be. Especially like Mikey is a lot more like expressive than mine with his face and how he reacts, etc. So I'm quite monotone and boring. So yeah, for me in those initial videos before we decided we were going to do something more comic related and make it thingy, it was Mikey's like reactions and stuff really made the channel something, I think.
And and 600 subscribers, and 1 year later, you know, you guys are going strong.
But don't forget, we were also banned for a month, which was like the worst time of our lives.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, without giving away too much of what you don't want to tell about, did they just, was it just like somebody, you know, checked the wrong box somewhere and you ended up not on YouTube, or what happened?
So what happened? Sorry, let me just close my message down because a load of people are messaging me about watching our video. Hold on a second. so we released like a Silver Age CB. So we released a Silver Age CGC unboxing, and the views were doing quite well. And then like I was away with work, and I had no internet signal where I was, and I went to go and check like YouTube Studio app on my phone to see how the video was doing and if we had any comments to reply to, etc. And it was saying there was something wrong. And I was like, that's a bit strange. So then I went on to the YouTube app and it logged out of the account. And I was like, what's going on? And then so I checked my emails and I got like an email to say that we'd been banned. We said, well, the word wasn't that banned. So it was, we've been removed. Your account has been removed from eBay for community violations. And we hadn't previously had any like strikes or anything like that. It was really bizarre. And what was really weird was it was addressed to like MJ Collectibles. So I immediately assumed that like, oh, they've got the wrong channel. And then so like when it happens, YouTube give you like a link to appeal. So I was quite brash, really, messaging YouTube back saying, I don't know what's happened. It's addressed to MJ Collectibles. We've never had a violation or a strike before. Like, what the hell's going on? And I immediately got like an email response back saying your appeal has been rejected. And I was like, what? And it says you have to wait. So then I appealed again, and then I got an immediate reply saying you have to wait 2 weeks to appeal. So I was just like, oh. So in that time, it was like, what are we going to do? I said to Mikey, I don't know what we're going to do. If we can't get the channel back, is there any point starting up again? Like it was it was quite depressing, really, because I don't know. I think during like the pandemic and everything, this has been like a, therapeutic way of de-stressing and giving you like a little bit of purpose. And I feel like I feel like we really got, I don't want to say anything bad about YouTube, but I feel like it was very unfair. Because we only did what other comic YouTubers did. We never, we never like under false pretenses said anything. I think the exact thing was that it said our channel violated something about fraud or something, and we're just like, what? And we didn't know whether or not like somebody had like complained about our channel. YouTube, there's literally, unless you're monetized, there was literally no way of contacting YouTube. So it was like really difficult.
Right.
So I tried on Twitter, I tried on Reddit, I tried on Instagram, I emailed them directly, literally like no responses. Like except for on Twitter, Twitter just responded, you got to appeal, follow the appeals process. And it was just so difficult. I even got because Jason Parker's a really good friend of ours. I even got him to, because he's monetized, I got him to contact YouTube, and YouTube just would not like tell us why our channel had been banned. So
we still don't know, do we?
Well, we still don't know, but like 2 weeks later, I appealed, but this time I'd read loads of stuff on eBay, watched a load of videos about people saying how they got banned off YouTube and how they got their channels back. And I think the main thing was you have to be apologetic. So I drafted up, in this 2 weeks, I drafted up a response where I'd put like, we're really sorry if we've done anything that violates the guidelines. We would never intentionally do that. We've always tried to be upfront and honest with subscribers and potential viewers. We would never knowingly do anything, and I just said like, we really love the YouTube community that we're within, and if you could just even if you don't give us our channel back, please just tell us what we've done wrong. So because it's I just said like it's frustrating because I don't know what we've done wrong. So there was a bit of like we had to wait 48 hours for a response, and I just got an email back saying, we're ever so sorry. After reviewing your channel, we're ever so sorry. Sometimes we get things wrong. Your channel's been reinstated. So I was like, yes, happy days. We've got our channel back. And then literally within less than 24 hours, the same thing happened again.
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't get onto YouTube again, and then it was like honestly, I was just like, this is ridiculous. I was literally in cloud 9 when we got the channel back, and then it just brought straight back down. So I sent the same response technically, but with the added bit about you've already responded to say that we hadn't done anything that violated the guidelines and it was a mistake, yet you've just removed us again. And within again 48 hours, our channel was back. They with the same email to say sometimes we get things wrong. We're sorry. We're just trying to protect the community. There was nothing. We found nothing. We reviewed your channel and we found nothing wrong with it. So, I went back and I deleted a few videos that, like, for instance, like the old giveaway videos, because I had read that YouTube aren't particularly big on giveaway videos because it's like incentivizing people to subscribe and stuff like that. So I got rid of them, and now I don't know if you noticed, but now we don't do subscriber giveaways on YouTube. It's purely through our Instagram that we'll be doing giveaways. Yeah. But I kind of felt like there was something that, like, the algorithm or like a bot that reviews YouTube every 24 hours, just when we came back up, it reviewed our channel again and just took it down straight away. And I don't think it was until somebody personally from YouTube reviewed our channel and saw there was nothing wrong with it that we got it back. So it was just a stressful time. And like, I'm sure Mikey would agree, wouldn't you, Mikey?
Yeah, during that month that we were down, we lost all interest in comics. We were just like, well, the buzz of, presenting our finds, unboxings, what we think is going to be, the next big thing, talking about me. We just lost it all. We just lost our channel. And I don't know whether but here in the UK, we had like a full lockdown. We could not leave our houses for, what was it, like 6 to 8 months or something like that. So literally all we had, and even speaking to family, was via the internet. So you either pick up the phone, you get on FaceTime, or you do something like this. And it's as though a certain section of that had been pulled, and it literally felt like we'd lost, like, our pet dog or something. It was just literally old Yella had been taken out, and that was it.
Yeah.
And to your point too, if you're questioning YouTube about, they should at least be able to tell you why they took you down, because if they reinstate you, you want to make sure you don't do that again.
Exactly. Definitely. 100%.
So we got a couple more people in our chat. Just going to go real quick. Mark from MJ Comix. Hey, Mark.
Hi, buddy.
Hey,
who says that the problem is that your books are too hot. That's you're burning up the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put up some of Kevin's comment about YouTube because I want to stay on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fine. There was a comment from QUE underneath, isn't there, about a question, is it?
Although I will put up, they saw my art on Mikey's wall and were like, that art is sick. And take it down.
Yeah, I think QE's mention about a comic shop that we visited was Jason. Might have thought that was an advertisement. We did that video after the ban was lifted.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that.
Yeah. Because we don't have flea markets like America. We have like a designated shop, or we have to go around charity shops and hunt. It's not the same here, the comic market, unfortunately.
Jason, hello, Jason. Thanks for joining us. Can't even imagine the person that would be to be just severed from the community would kill. Yeah, absolutely.
One, it's devastating. But we're just like, I mean, we're not chasing that 1,000 subscriber dream or whatever. We're just literally happy to be back. and just putting out content and hoping that people enjoy it. That's just the
and one of the things that I enjoy all that you do, but I love your unboxings because you've covered the whole gamut of, you've had your 9.8s, and then you've had your silver foil spawns and everything in between, right?
Yeah.
Which you just put out a follow up to that, which is a happy ending, so that was good for you guys.
Yeah, it was definitely, and just a shout out to Daniel Scott from Scott's Collectibles for sorting that out for me. That was top guy. Honestly, he's really helped us out.
So now, do you guys have a pull box? I know you said you don't really do modern anymore, but do you guys follow like a weekly comic still, or do you have something that you read every week or every month, or?
Yeah, Mikey's a lot bigger on this for me, but I'll just quickly say what I was subscribed to Venom up until Venom 35. I've stopped at that. I was subscribed to Crossover. I stopped at I wasn't enjoying that.
Okay.
I was subscribed to. I am still subscribed to Department of Truth. I'm subscribed to what's the other one now? The new Moon Knight series. I like Moon Knight, so I'm currently reading that. So,
how about you, Mikey?
Well, at the moment, I've got a massive backlog, but I'm currently doing the Walking Dead Deluxe because I tried the Walking Dead, and when you go from reading color comics back to black and white comics, it just doesn't grab my attention. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and do the Walking Dead Deluxe. So I've got from issue 1 onwards to read through that, and I'm looking forward to starting that. I did the Hot Series Stray Dogs as well. So and I've got all the Star Wars High Republic from issue 1 to go through, and incidentally, I think that's going to be a great series, and I think there's a lot of spec around that as well at the moment as well.
If they ever move that into another medium, another media, that thing is just going to explode even more. But so, on in your way back times, Mikey, you're mostly Marvel. You said, James, you had mostly DC when you were young.
It was more DC, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of like modern day DC. Mm-hmm. I literally stopped reading Batman at New 52 at the end. Was it issue number 52 of Batman? I got I can't remember what it was called. Batman Rebirth, was it? Was they started? Got first issue of that. Didn't get on with it, and I haven't continued on with DC, unfortunately.
We also did the Three Jokers review, didn't we? Where we read it, beautiful art, just the story just fell apart, and that was literally supposed to be my gateway into DC, and it was just like beautiful art,
beautiful art.
Story.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I thought it was. I think I gave it a more favourable review than Mikey and Kev did, but I semi enjoyed that. But the problem with me is I over evaluate and analyse things. So if I read something and if it doesn't go the same way I think it's going in my mind, I think it's shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a classic example was I was really invested in like Game of Thrones. I loved Game of Thrones, and I like the final season. It's just a massive letdown, and I just felt like the writers for that wrote down the ending on the back of a cigarette packet. Literally, like that. I mean, yeah. I like to enjoy things where it gets me like stimulated, thinking, oh, how is this? Where's this going to end up? And sometimes, if it surprises me, that's like amazing. But then sometimes if I read it and I think it's terrible, I'll just be like, yeah, that's it now for me. I'm done. Not again.
And for me anyway, like I'm a big Jeff Johns fan, but I think the things that he's been weakest at are the things when he's tried to go back to those seminal type comics like Doomsday Clock, or in Three Jokers, he was kind of referencing, the Killing Joke. In some ways, it was, stylized that way. And I think that sometimes he's good at taking characters and revitalizing them. But when he tries to revisit some of those, exactly. He did the same thing with the Flash when he brought Barry Allen back. But I think some of the things that he's weakest at are he should not touch those seminal type stories. I think that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So, now, do you get into the British comic industry at all? Because I know there's a very healthy and vibrant British industry, like 2000 AD, right? Has been going on for 40 some years. And do you get into those at all?
Yeah, I read Judge Dredd as a kid, and I loved it. I thought, the use of the word "drock," I love it. What else do you need? It was a cool way of looking at swearing without swearing, and the stories were, people, buying candy that were actually drugs and stuff like that. It's just far out there, and it's just like, whoa. So with regards to the British comics, yes, I did read the Beano, the Dandy, the Breeze. Is it the Beezer? Yeah, the Beezer. And they're still going now, but they're not as highly sought after as the Marvel stuff. You still get people who will go buy Dandies and Beanos, but they were the introduction into the comic world for a lot of UK comic readers, because it was so light-hearted stuff. Dennis the Menace. You've got this kid who's always in trouble. He's got his pet dog who's always eating his homework and helping him get out of trouble when he was in trouble. It was great starting out on those, and that is a good little starter for anybody coming into the comic world, because it opens you up and it gets you used to reading the panels in a certain order as well. And I must admit, sometimes when I came back to comics after a while out of it, sometimes you can read the panels out of order. So you're reading like somebody else's lines before somebody else's, and it does get a bit confusing. So obviously, going back to that, and it's really simplified for kids. And I still think the Beano, I have so many fun stories that I still remember in my head from them. So
I tell you what, Paul, for me, there's nothing worse when people find out that I'm into comics. They come up and approach me and they go, James, I've got loads of comics at home. Do you want them? And I'm like, or do you want to buy them or whatever? And I'm like, yes, yeah, sure. What have you got? Send me some pictures. And when it's pictures of the Beano and Dandy, honestly, the biggest letdown in the world. And they've got thousands of them. And I'm like,
because they're all printed on newspaper, aren't they? Like proper newspaper.
Okay. And the harsh reality is, I wouldn't even wipe my arse on it.
It always goes back to the toilet with you, James.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm here for the party humor, but it does. I feel really terrible, and I just go, "Oh no, I'm not. I don't collect that." But in my mind, I know it's just it's not worth anything. It's a very niche, like Mikey said. A lot of kids will have fond memories of reading the Beano and Dandy, but for me, it never ever interested me. Never.
Right. So who would you say? I mean, from the British side, is Judge Dredd really kind of the biggest character you think that came out of Great Britain?
No, I'd say probably Dennis the Menace and Judge Dredd. Yeah, because the Beano is obviously more popular than Dandy, but Dandy then had Desperate Dan. So many great characters.
I mean, we do have we had very similar Marvel comics that came out, like newspaper size comic, whatever. They were essentially like reprints, and it would be like the cover was in color, but the rest of the book was in black and white.
Okay.
With the same artwork inside as like a Hulk 181. You do see them, but again, like only certain collectors collect them, and like so there were like you would have people growing up reading Marvel comics in like they would the Beano, but it wouldn't be like your classic US comic books, which you could only get from a comic book store here in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Quick one shots. Favorite heroes. Who's your favorite hero?
I'm going to both agree on this. Yeah. Oh, unless you're going to go. Yeah, go on. Then you go first.
I think it's probably it's a very difficult question to answer. Mikey, do you want to answer first while I think about it?
I'm just going to go with Spidey.
Okay.
That's it.
Is that it? I'm torn between Batman and Spider-Man. I think as a kid, it's really.
Can I just stop people here? Can I just say that Batman really isn't a superhero? He's just super rich.
Yeah. He says that, right? He says that in the movie, right? Like, what his superpower is rich. Right?
Let's be honest. It kind of makes him more of a human because he's more vulnerable than people who have powers. But do you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go with Batman for this because I remember, like I said earlier, I remember coming out of the cinema, watching Batman Forever, wanting to be Batman, going home, making pretend costumes, jumping off. I literally jumped off everything.
I climbed up everything as well.
I climbed up everything, and like. I used to go. Mikey, don't tell Mom this, but I used to go out. We used to live in a townhouse, which is like 2 or 3 stories, is it? And I used to get out onto the roof and pretend I was Batman's on the end of. It's really stupidly dangerous looking back. I could have died, but yeah, it's got to be Batman because I think he was the first superhero where I wanted to be him. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite villains.
Oh,
this is hard. This is.
My favourite villain is the Joker, 100%.
Okay.
See, Venom's not really.
He's an anti-hero.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wouldn't even say he's an anti-hero anymore. He's a full-blown hero now.
Exactly. So that's how he's gone full turn, and I still think that's why he started as that, then went to that, and is now becoming that. And so really, at what point do you class Venom as? He's obviously his earlier stuff, and for being an actual formidable, person to rival Spider-Man, so I'm gonna have to go Venom.
Yeah, when he initially came out, he was like, he was awesome, wasn't he? His introduction,
he was badass.
And when he came back in Amazing Spider-Man 316, he was literally he was he's definitely a great villain, but he's come into his own a lot now. So I really respect Venom. Venom is one of my favorite characters, but he wasn't a big part of my growing up. He was more of like a teenage like early 20s character that I loved.
Yeah. When Batman Forever came out, he was so scared they were going to kill Jim Carrey. Like, really scared. Ace Ventura was a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah, Sam, I love Jim Carrey. I always wish that Jim Carrey was my dad.
I have fond memories of Batman Forever. I think it was just Alicia Silverstone in it.
Batman Forever was one of my favorite Batman movies. I think, to me, the first Batman '89 was first, and then Batman Forever was my second of the 4.
I think for me, like, because in '89 I was only like 2, so Batman Forever was the first Batman film that I saw at the cinema, and that's always gonna be like my favorite experience, because there's that meme, isn't there? Do something with the confidence of a 6-year-old or 7-year-old who thinks they're Batman. Like, I came out of the cinema and you're like, yeah, like you're like jacked up, aren't you? And you're like running and jumping, thinking you're Batman, and you know what I mean? So it's just, definitely Batman Forever that film. Mikey, you actually got it wrong. Alicia Silverstone is in Batman and Robin. She's Batgirl in that, yeah.
See?
Now, if we're talking Nicole Kidman in Batman Forever, that was my first crush on an actress.
Wow. Your favorite creators? Favorite comic creators?
Todd McFarlane was Spawn.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite. Mikey?
I don't know. I'm going to think about
that. I really like Scott Snyder as well, and obviously, you've got like everyone loves Stan Lee for his original stories, etc. With Jack Kirby's art, but like totally for me, Todd McFarlane, like his artwork. I mean, his writing isn't that good, but like Spawn, I absolutely love Spawn, and when Todd McFarlane did that Spider-Man 300, that run on Spider-Man, and then he had his own series Spider-Man. The artwork on those covers and stuff were just, for me, were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just reminded me of how much I love that run. Yeah, I'm going to go Todd as well, but for different reasons.
What's the first comic book that you can ever remember reading or picking up?
I think I said earlier it was a Batman Nightfall.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yep.
It wasn't the one where Bane broke Batman's back, but it was like a couple after that when he was. I can't remember what the issue number was. I'm trying to think, but yeah, that's one of the first comics I remember picking up from a comic shop.
Right. So the first comic book would be one of my dad's old annuals. So, but every year the Beano used to release an annual, and he had a big box where he had loads from when he was a kid, and after we ate dinner, he used to tell me to sit down and read for half an hour to let my dinner go down rather than run round. So the first thing he would be like, we're going to sit here in silence and you're going to read. So obviously, first thing I do was go to the comic books because I didn't really want to read a full-blown book. So obviously, things with pictures in, when you're little, it's easier to obviously flip the pages and understand what's going on. So I believe it was a Beano, but it could be a Dandy, but it was that long ago. We're talking over 30 odd years ago.
Yeah, well, okay. You have someone that has never read a comic book before, and your job is to get them hooked on comics. What's the one comic you would give them to get them to show them what the possibilities of are in comics?
Mm.
And
one book.
Well, just one book or like a run or?
Yep. No, just one book.
One book. Oh gosh.
One book.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to steal my good friend Kevin from Superpower Review's favorite comic book of all time, Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Okay.
I was thinking that as well, because it puts you slap bang in the middle and introduces a new villain straight off. So now you put the pressure on me, haven't you?
Yes.
This is a pressure-free zone, I promise.
Yeah. You can't say Batman. You can't say Batman the Three Jokers.
No, I definitely wouldn't even suggest that. I don't know. Something for someone just coming into comics. I think it's important for people to realise why they want to read a comic. We can suggest any character in the world, but if that character doesn't match that person, then you're not. You're going to have loud people who do dangerous things, who are loud. They're going to like the Hulk. People who like teenagers, they're going to relate more to Spider-Man. I think we need a comic that's going to have a good mixture of almost so many different types of superheroes. So I'd probably go with Defenders #1.
Okay. Yeah.
That's shocking.
No, I would agree. I can totally understand why you would say that.
Can I say something about when Mikey picked up? Did you pick up you picked up a Defenders #1, didn't you?
Yeah, that was
We were with Jason Parker, and he went, "Oh, look what I found! I found a Defenders #1." He went, "Imagine if they do like a film or a TV series on them." And I went, "Mate, they've already done a Defenders series on Netflix." He's like, "I watched it." He's like, "Don't watch it anyway."
But yeah, that's how out of it I am. And actually, I gave that because Jason had picked it up and put it on the side, and I was willing to buy it. And I said to Jason, I gave it him back, and I said, "If you don't want it, I'll buy it." But I was really honest and gave it to him, and he ended up buying it, and I was just like, "Oh man!"
Oh, did you not get it in the end?
No, I got the giant size Defenders #1,
that was it.
but not the first one in the run. So I was quite gutted about that.
Good.
Okay, last question about of my bullets is when you die, you can be buried with one comic book. What comic book do you get buried with?
You know what? I'm gonna answer this one first. I'm gonna go with my Marvel D23 1000 because it is the origin of MJ Comix and it is the start of something that will forever be on the internet. So I want that comic to be forever with me.
Good answer. Good answer.
I'm gonna go with my first ever graded comic that my wife bought me for my wedding day, and that is an Amazing Spider-Man 252 signed by Stanley.
Wow.
It's in a 9.2, but I mean, yeah, I think that's my favorite book in my collection, just purely because of like my wife got it me, so I'd be buried with that one. I'd be pretty happy to die with that one.
And Q's taking the rest of them.
You can have them, yeah, definitely. So yeah.
So before we wrap up, what do you have going on in your channel, either YouTube or Instagram? Right, you got a giveaway coming up, I think, right?
Yeah, so we currently have a giveaway on our Instagram page, MJ_Comix, and we're currently giving away this Joker 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular. The cover's by Art Germ, and it's the origin of Punchline. We're giving this away once we hit 666 subscribers. So pretty cool number to hit, but once we get to that number, we will do a live giveaway. But to enter, all you got to do is find us on Instagram, find the post that's got this picture, and just comment with the hashtag "Let's put a smile on that face," and you'll be entered into the competition. We'll post anywhere in the UK for free, but internationally, you just got to pay the excess postage. So, or post shipping basically. But yeah, so if you want to win this, just head over to our Instagram page. And I went away on holiday this past week, and I challenged Mikey to. I challenged Mikey to do. I give him a limit of $200, and I said, Mikey, get as many keys you can with $200, and let me know once you do. And apparently today he finished it, I think. So he's done that in a week.
Last night I wrapped it all up. I had a week to do the challenge. Paid for it all last night. So we're doing that unboxing.
Yeah.
How many keys can you get? $200.
Yeah. So I think he's feeling pretty confident, to be honest, I think. But once he gets that once he receives that, we'll film a video and we'll release that. But in the meantime, I think on Wednesday, when I went away on holiday, I visited a few comic shops and I've just done some filming on that. But I'll be honest with you, they weren't much. I didn't buy anything. I feel terrible. I normally like to kind of give, like even if there's something in there, but like the shops weren't particularly that good. I'll do a video showcase and stuff, but I'm just a bit gutted that there was nothing there. It was just all modern books, and I'm not interested in modern books. Unfortunately. So, but yeah, that'll be coming out.
I totally understand. Well, I want to thank you guys, both of you, for coming on. Again, if you haven't seen their channel, it's MJ Comix on YouTube. Make sure you check out the video that they just did, their live stream on the CGC fraud that was done. It's like I said, it's like 70-80 minutes of just enthralling discussion. So thank you guys for all that you do for the comic community, and thanks for coming on. Hopefully you guys will come back again someday.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and
all right, we definitely will, Paul. You've got a great little channel starting, and it's an absolute honor to be invited because you've had like such big guests before us. So we really appreciate it, and we just genuinely love the comic community. And honestly, it's like being part of it. It feels, we've met people in life that we'd never come across like naturally. So it's nice to meet like-minded people who are genuine, nice people. And you are one of those people, Paul. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. There is no better community than the comic community on YouTube and Instagram. It's just amazing. One of the things I love about what I do. And, so again, thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Whether you're watching this live or on the rewind, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification button, and you are now leaving sector 2815. Have a good night.
Bye everyone.
Bye.